Forecast, we'll be looking at this huge storm that is going to occur in a couple days. So it will be getting started tomorrow in the plains and the Midwest. And then this whole thing kind of moves east or northeastward throughout the later portion of this week. So Wednesday and Thursday, there will be the main severe weather threat across southern plains and the southeast, as well as a snow and ice storm that's going to be taking shape across parts of the plains of the Midwest and the Great Lakes, where you can see those pink, purple, blue shades, and the light purple shade just south of the main heavy snow band, as you can see for like Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. And before you get started here, please just consider subscribing and liking this video if you are interested in our content, and we're going to get heading into this detailed. Tomorrow's severe weather outlook, there is a slight risk issued for portions of Oklahoma and Texas, and a marginal risk for portions of Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas. And as you can see, some cities that will be impacted include Dallas, Fort Worth in Texas, Oklahoma City, and Tulsa in Oklahoma, as well as other cities such as Arlington, Abilene, and Tyler in Texas, Little Rock and Fort Smith in Arkansas, and Springfield, Missouri. Now, if you head into the Thursday's outlook, you can see there's an expansive slight risk, including portions of Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, southern Illinois, western Kentucky, and Tennessee, as well as Mississippi and Alabama, and a marginal risk for those areas, and as well as areas expanding even further eastward toward the coast for the rest of Kentucky and Tennessee, and as well as portions of southern Indiana and West Virginia, and as well as the rest of Alabama and parts of the Florida Panhandle, as well as most of Georgia and the Carolinas, as well as Virginia. So some cities will be impacted by the slight risk, including Memphis, Tennessee, Birmingham, Alabama, Shreveport, Louisiana, Little Rock, Arkansas, Jackson, Mississippi. And some areas in the marginal risk include Charlotte, North Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Louisville, Kentucky. So if you're in any of those cities, please watch for severe weather over the next couple days as this whole system takes shape. And we'll get deep diving down into the hazards of severe weather according to these outlooks as well. So if you look at the tornado risk map, you can see there's a 2% and a 5% tornado risk. But again, these aren't like the real percentages. They're just a chance of a tornado happening within at least 25 miles of your location, or like within 25 miles basically. And you can see the tornado risks are including portions of southern Oklahoma, northern Texas, and western Arkansas. The 5% risk is a higher risk, of course, but I think that really means like there's a half 50-50 chance this region sees a tornado at all. And technically speaking, the true percentage for the tornado activity at all within that specific risk is like, for example, 2%, it's like 20%, and 5% like 50%. But again, this is just a is like basically what it is, and you know. So focusing back on the forecast here, we can see that some 5% tornado risk once again is going to cover parts of the southern Oklahoma and northern Texas area, and it's supposed to stay away from many of the major cities. But again, some cities over here obviously are going to get impacted by tornadoes, and Dallas and Fort Worth alone are in a 2% tornado risk, so they're not negated for that. And as for the wind risk, you can see there's a 15% chance across some metropolitan areas, including Dallas, Fort Worth, once again, Oklahoma, and Tulsa in Oklahoma, and Little Rock and Arkansas, Springfield, Missouri, and Abilene at Tyler, Texas, Fort Smith, Arkansas, where all some cities are included in a 5% wind. 5% hail risk. That includes some metropolitan areas such as Dallas, Fort Worth, once again. Basically, those same areas that were in the wind risk, they're also in these hail risks. So if you're in the 15% wind risk, then odds are you're in the 15% hail risk as well. Same thing goes for like 5%, which is equivalent to marginal, and the 15% is equivalent to slight. But it doesn't work on tornado risks, but a 15% is actually equal to a moderate risk, but we're not at that level for this event. This is a slight risk, but it could be enhanced if anything gets enhanced, like such as a weakened stability for say, if it's predicted to be higher than what it's currently supposed to be, then per B there will be an enhanced risk upgrade. but we don't know if that's going to occur. But it's again something to look at, not a guarantee that there will be an enhanced risk, but this severe weather event is likely and probably guaranteed at this point. Again, so 5% goes slight for the tornadoes only, and 2% for marginal for the tornadoes only once again. So yeah. So according to our snowfall map, as we switch into the wintry aspect of this huge storm that's going to be occurring, we can see there's going to be a narrow band of several inches, likely. That would probably be from eastern Kansas, central northern Missouri, and then central northern Illinois, northern Indiana, and parts of southern central lower Michigan. That's where we see the best potential for at least 8 inches of snow, and lighter amounts you head west in the plains, and if you go over here in the northeast New England as well. So this area is where we preferably see the heaviest snow from this snowy part of the system. And the storm's just getting started over here, and there is snow coming down over the west right now. But since that part of the storm is occurring and wasn't all that important to us, well, we'll work on that. We just didn't feel like doing anything over here, and so we just kept the amounts like going all the way to the Rocky Mountains, so Denver could see like a quick inch or two of snow. And obviously, as you head into, like, let's say the Panhandle region, that's when things slowly start to pick up. And then it really does so once you head into eastern Kansas, and then from there it's kind of gives some major cities quite the slam. And for the ice accumulation map, you see the heaviest ice accumulations are concentrated south of the heavy snow band. But there are some concerning ice amounts we have posted on the map based on model guidance, not just opinion wise. Otherwise, that would be kind of hip, right? You know, that'd be like over hip when we don't do that on this channel, and we really don't encourage it either. So some areas could see like still really like lays of like under like, you know, a 20th of an inch, which would be under 0.05 of an inch. That would be like the lightest zone, which is like parts of Chicago Metro, as well as like minimum of that, and as heavy as like quarter of an inch. But I feel like the worst of the ice storm conditions will just miss like metro areas such as Kansas City, Chicago, Detroit. That's where I feel like the worst of the ice will probably stay south of it. But some areas that could get hammered include Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, and Bloomington, as well as St. Louis, possibly. But they're on the southern edge of that worst zone, as well as Buffalo up here. But those are lesser amounts than we could see up here. It's Missouri, central states of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. But less over here and less over here, because this one's developing, and most of it's supposed to be like over here again. So lighter precipitation overall and lighter storm effects overall over here. And rest is kind of over here again. It was kind of like the last storm. So now we head into models to support our simulated radar for the country, which will include this storm as we're focusing on it. So this storm begins to develop like specifically Wednesday afternoon, evening, and into Thursday morning, like early Thursday, Wednesday night. That's where we see the storm begin to develop and unfold, with rain across a good portion of the country. And then while storms don't look as organized as they probably would be over here, let's say like Arkansas, Louisiana, like just west of the Mississippi River and crossing it, this is like Thursday noon for local time. And we see this band and swath of snow, not just over here across Kansas, Missouri, Sonora, and northern Illinois, also like over here just north of the border. But maybe even like Maine could get in the snow, possibly in the northern western reaches of New York State and as well as Pennsylvania. But I feel like for those regions it'd be more of an icy event, but can't rule out like a dusting of snow, as well as like new parts of northern New England. And then also some other areas further to the east, such as northern Indiana, Ohio, and much of Michigan. And then in this, there could also be likely an icy or sleet mix across many of these areas that do receive snow, because for many of these areas, it will also spread out as rain. But some areas you could just see snow throughout this event. But I feel like if you see an icy mix, like just as the event is beginning, I feel like that's where you could see the heaviest snow out of this. And Again, this is where we focus our heaviest ice mounts over here. Again, as you saw in that map, you see there's gonna be like heavy ice in those similar regions: central Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and northern Ohio. Once again, where the models continue to show the heaviest ice out of this, and the rain will also be pretty heavy, and flooding is not out of question. So could that be from like severe weather and stuff? But this is just kind of a line and not too much mounds of it. This main line, maybe a few cells popping up ahead of it, according to some of the models, but we can't be too sure of that just yet because NAM doesn't really show much at all, like ahead of it at least, for now. But the main line is going to go through, let's say, this is actually Thursday afternoon, and then Thursday evening, Friday night. Well, no, Friday night, Friday morning, and day on Friday. The storm is practically over on Friday. We could see some lingering storms that day for Florida because they are likely still going to be ahead of the front. And yeah, so you're going to be expecting these storms Oklahoma, Texas Wednesday night and early Thursday morning, and then Thursday late morning into the noon hours for Arkansas, Louisiana, and it'll be crossing Mississippi Valley like early afternoon hours, just like lunchtime. And then as you head deeper into the afternoon, these storms kind of go through like, let's say like Mississippi, Alabama, and Kentucky and Tennessee. And then as we head into the evening hours, it's where we're likely to see some more air such as like Carolinas and the eastern portions, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Georgia, and as well as lingering storms across southern eastern Alabama, possibly in the Florida Panel, as we just pointed out too. That's where storms could be lingering like Thursday night into early Friday morning. Now we head into our snowfall. So if you look at this snow band, that's where we could see some areas, pockets of a foot plus or over in like one model, but like there's still some other things we need to go over, and there's also another model which will kind of dictate to see the two between one snow and the other, which is going to appear, and as well as some heavier snow across northern Maine. So now there's quite a few scenarios to look at. So according to the Canadian model, this is like kind of just a light event and kind of further to the south than what NAM and GFS says. GFS very similar to the NAM for this event, as you can tell by the difference. GFS, NAM, and then again European also light, but I think European is like the slightest bit higher and heavier than the Canadian model for these regions. UK model is kind of in the middle of these two camps, as you can tell by the kind of wider like 6+ inch band. And then GFS name once again are like really slamming some major cities over here. Kansas City, Wichita, Chicago, and Detroit. But we can pretty much tell where we're likely to be seeing snow at all. As we can tell, finally be these models which are showing good confidence for snowband, heavy snow, within the Midwest and the Plains and the Great Lakes. Maybe even as well as portions of northern New England, as you can see over here. Some heavier snow just goes into that region too. So now we're going to compare with the ice mounts. So we look at the Canadian model here, this ice band is kind of disorganized, with some we're seeing like gaps in true ice mounts, such as over here in like Indiana, Ohio border area and Illinois, Indiana border area. And then you see these pretty big or not so big ice mounts across like Missouri, Illinois area, and even Ohio too. GFS shows a really heavy band in concerning amounts, which is really narrow as well for portions in Oklahoma, southern Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, northern Ohio, southern Michigan, and along and in the eastern Great Lakes as well as the northern New England region. NAM, like same thing as the GFS, so they both have a very similar handling of this event. And the two Canadian models are obviously very similar because they're also the same branch, technically speaking. So we're gonna go take a quick look at the severe weather setup, and then have our little end for today. So Outbreak week, we can see that some weak instability once again develops. And this doesn't really do a lot to our overall weather forecast because of the other ingredients easily available in these regions at the same time. So Wednesday evening, that's when things get started. And then as you head into Thursday morning, afternoon, the storms and the instability kind of just moves fast kind of eastward. And in Florida, obviously, Friday, as we just mentioned, there could be some lingering some showers in Florida once again, Friday afternoon to night. And then if you look at the dew points here, you can see that moisture coming from the Gulf advecting northward, with some dew points in the 50s as north as Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana, Ohio, and even into the coastal northeast. And dew point values reaching in the 60s can go as far north as the Ohio River Valley, and as well as mid-Atlantic. So these storms are basically running along, maybe a little behind the cold front, according like the forecast, which is kind of what limits the instability in the first place. But I'm kind of doubtful on that with the frontal position stuff, because storms, when they like just kind of develop just ahead of the front, or even along it in general, that's where I'm kind of in question on this. Then again, you can see that Gulf moisture is streaming northward and eastward ahead of the cold front before things start to smooth down once again, heading into the weekend. So this is Friday, and then heading backward Thursday into Wednesday. So this is kind of showing the direction of Gulf moisture and progression of it. And as you can see, this is tailoring well into our severe weather event. And now, one quick last thing to look at, which is really supportive for severe weather, the bulk shear. So, Wednesday afternoon, as the storms begin to fire up in the southern plains, there's quite a ton of bulk shear as well with it. So, storms probably be like over here, like 60 to 70, maybe an 80 knots. That's very favorable for severe weather and it can easily develop under these conditions along that active jet. Friday as these storms go eastward and kind of dissipate with time as we head into the southeast close to the Atlantic coast. On Friday and early Friday specifically and Thursday night, they kind of just begin to fade away in the mid-Atlantic southeast regions. You can see that storms are also riding along the jet. They're more like over here. You can see that was kind of like holes in the active jet. That's specifically where the storms are at. As you can tell once again, storms, you can see those holes. Those are likely the storms that could be producing severe weather Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday. And I hope you guys had a good day. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's forecast. If you did, please consider again to subscribe, like this video, and stay tuned.